Hello friends, this video on NEET Reproduction is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Question number 30. The main function of mammalian corpus luteum is to produce estrogen only, progesterone, human chronic gonadotropin, relaxin only. So the main function of corpus luteum is to produce progesterone. And this hormone progesterone maintains the endometrium of the uterus, because this endometrial lining is needed for implantation of the embryo during pregnancy. So that is why the corpus luteum exists. Like, the corpus luteum exists and continues to produce progesterone so that the endometrium wall can build up. Right? Now, if fertilization happens, that is, if the woman gets pregnant, then what happens? The embryo will come and it will get implanted in the uterus. So for that, you needed that endometrial lining. But in case a woman doesn't get pregnant, then what will happen? This endometrial lining, which was developed by progesterone, this will break down, and the endometrial lining breakdowns and comes out of the body in the form of bleeding. That is what we call as menstruation. So corpus luteum's main job is to produce progesterone so that the endometrium lining can build up. So here quickly let's have a recap. So Graafian follicle ruptures when ovulation occurs, that is when egg is released from the ovary. That time the Graafian follicle will rupture. The remains of the Graafian follicle forms the corpus luteum, and progesterone is secreted by this corpus luteum. Question number 31. Select the correct option describing gonadotropin activity in a normal pregnant female. High level of FSH and LH stimulates the thickening of endometrium. High level of FSH and LH facilitate implantation of the embryo. High level of HCG stimulates the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone. High level of HCG stimulates the thickening of endometrium. Now, what is FSH? That is follicle stimulating hormone. LH is luteinizing hormone. And what is HCG? This is human chorionic gonadotropin. So here the correct option is C, that is high level of HCG stimulates the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone. Now HCG is made by placenta during pregnancy, and it is used in huge amounts in early periods of pregnancy. So what is the function of HCG? So HCG maintains the corpus luteum. So the corpus luteum is maintained during the early days of pregnancy so that, now what happens, let me write it here. So HCG will maintain corpus luteum, and if corpus luteum is maintained, what happens? It continues to secrete progesterone and estrogen. Now if these get secreted continuously, then what happens? The uterus lining gets thickened, because as I said that these progesterone and estrogen, they thicken the endometrial lining of the uterus. So the uterus lining gets thickened so that it can sustain the growing fetus. So that way is, if you see, HCG plays a very crucial role during the early days of pregnancy. And if you talk about the hormones FSH and LH, so these two hormones, they remain inactive during pregnancy. So they are inactive during pregnancy. Why? Because the purpose of these hormones is to stimulate the follicular growth in ovaries and helps in ovulation. So during pregnancy, they are inactive. Because in pregnancy, during pregnancy, ovulation doesn't have much role, right? So these hormones helps in ovulation, and this helps women to get pregnant. But once they are pregnant, they become inactive. But HCG plays a very critical role during the early days of pregnancy. Question number 32. What is the current sequence of sperm formation? So let us quickly look at the process of sperm formation. So what happens in this case? Sperms are formed from spermatogonia, which are diploid cells. These spermatogonia undergo division to form primary spermatocytes. From these primary which are again diploid, the primary spermatocytes undergo meiosis to form secondary spermatocytes, which are haploid. These secondary spermatocytes form spermatids, which are also haploid, and the spermatids form the sperms. So sperms are also known as spermatozoa. So what is the correct sequence? First is spermatogonia, then spermatocytes, then spermatids, and then spermatozoa. So that is option D. Question number 33. Which one of the following is not the function of placenta. It facilitates supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. Yes, that is correct. It secretes estrogen. Yes, that is also correct. Facilitates removal of carbon dioxide and waste material from the embryo. That is also correct, because placenta helps to give all the nutrients to the embryo, take out the waste materials from the embryo. Secretes oxytocin during parturition. Parturition is the process of childbirth. So during childbirth, oxytocin hormone plays a critical role. But this oxytocin hormone is not secreted by placenta. It is secreted by the pituitary gland. So therefore, this is not the correct option. So basically, this is the right option, but this is not the function of placenta. So as discussed, what is the function of placenta? Nutrients come into the fetus, into fetus from mother's blood. Wastes go from fetus into mother's blood. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Placenta also produces several hormones like HCG, HPL, estrogen and progesterone. Question number 34. Signals for parturition originate from both placenta as well as fully developed fetus. Oxytocin released from maternal pituitary. Placenta only. Fully developed fetus only. Now, for parturition, the hormone which plays a critical role is oxytocin. But from where the signals of parturition originate? So we are not asking from where is the hormone oxytocin getting released. We are asking from where is the signal for parturition originate. So obviously, since this is the process of childbirth, so the signals will originate from the fully developed fetus and also from the placenta, and this will cause mild uterine contractions, and this triggers the release of hormone oxytocin from the pituitary, because oxytocin is a hormone which is responsible for stronger uterine contractions. But the initiation for the signals of parturition will happen from the placenta as well as the fully developed fetus. But once mild uterine contraction starts, that will trigger the release of oxytocin hormone from maternal pituitary. So this would be like a kind of an effect of the first one. Question number 35. If for some reason the vasa efferentia in the human reproductive system get blocked, the gametes will not be transported from epididymis to vas deferens, ovary to uterus, vagina to uterus, testes to epididymis. First of all, vasa efferentia is a part of the human male reproductive system. So obviously option B and C are not at all valid, because these are the parts of female reproductive system. Now let's see where exactly is vasa efferentia located. So if you see, vasa efferentia is an efferent duct. So the red colored structure which you see, that is vasa efferentia, and it connects the rete testis to the initial section of epididymis. So it kind of connects the testis to the epididymis. So it is a connecting link between testis and epididymis. So if vasa efferentia gets blocked, so obviously what will happen? The gametes will not be transported from testis to epididymis. Question number 36. The first movements of the fetus and appearance of hair on its head are usually observed during which month of pregnancy? So appearance of hair is seen in the 20th week of pregnancy, and 20th week is approximately 5th month. Question number 37. Which one of the following statements about morula in humans is correct? It has almost equal quantity of cytoplasm as an uncleaved zygote, but much more DNA. It has far less cytoplasm as well as less DNA than an uncleaved zygote. It has more or less equal quantity of cytoplasm and DNA. It has more cytoplasm and more DNA than an uncleaved zygote. Now, what is morula? So morula is a stage in post-fertilization development. So if you talk about the embryonic development, you would see that after fertilization, a single-celled zygote is formed. And this zygote undergoes repeated mitotic divisions, very rapid series of mitotic divisions which are called cleavage. And as a result, it forms 2-celled structure, 4-celled structure, 8-celled structure and so on. And that is when it forms a structure called morula. So morula it is named morula because it looks like a mulberry. It is like it looks like a ball of cells. So because of it almost has 12 to 15 cells, and all of these cells are joined together to form a hollow ball. Now, if you talk about the quantity of cytoplasm and DNA, of course, there is increase in DNA. In fact, that is the difference. That is how cleavage is different from ordinary mitosis. In cleavage, the amount of DNA continues to increase. So, obviously, morula is a further stage from zygote. So, morula has a lot of DNA, a lot more DNA when compared to the uncleaved zygote. But if you talk about the cytoplasm, in case of cleavage, the size of the cells continue to decrease. Now, when the size of the cells decrease, the amount of cytoplasm is like, it doesn't increase basically, it remains more or less the same because the number of cells are increasing. So it is like initially you had one cell like this, now you have the same amount of cytoplasm but it got divided into two cells. Again, after some time the same amount of cytoplasm might get divided into 4 cells and so on. So it has almost equal quantity of cytoplasm as an uncleaved zygote but much more DNA. So you can see here it is written that morula is a globular solid mass of 16 to 32 blastomeres formed by cleavage of the zygote that precedes the blastocyst. So it starts with the entire process of cleavage starts with zygote, then it forms morula, and then it forms the blastocyst or the blastula. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.